So we're going to start with moon mining because it's very important, and it's probably what a couple of people are doing right now. And even if you don't bubble with T2 industry, it's a pretty big deal, very useful. So, okay, so moon mining. Moon mining is based on this module here. Stand-up moon drill 1, there's no 2, fit it onto an ethanol, takes 120 fuel blocks a day, so not that much actually, and for every hour of operation, it will bring up 20,000 meters cubed of moon, basically. And of course, this isn't a continuous process, rather you pick an hour-long, a pull with a multiple of hours of length, so an 8-hour pull, and it will bring up the requisite amount of ore in that pull in a temporary moon belt. So this is just an asteroid belt that appears near the moon, about 100 kilometers off from the ethanol. And when I say temporary, I don't just mean it doesn't regenerate. The asteroid belt itself will disappear after 2 days. And as you can see, there's 2 rigs for it. And these rigs, efficiency increases the rate by about 2%, the rate of bringing up ore, so it's not very much used. It's a pretty bad bonus. They're quite expensive as well. Stability rigs are a lot more used. The Tech 2 one will double how long a moon belt will stay up, from 2 days to 4 days, and it will also make the belt smaller, and it will make the rocks bigger on average, sort of like the difference between a colossal and a large. So it's just very nice in general. Stability rigs are used a lot. So you might, this table is going to look complicated, but I'll bring you all through it. So if you've moon mined, you'll know a moon can have up to 4 ores, right? It can have some moon ores and have some plus 15% variance, right? And it can occasionally have 3, or I think even 2. So if one were to look at moon ore distributions, if you say every moon has, let's say, every moon has 4 ore slots, right? So you can have up to 4 ores in each moon, right? So 4 slots to put ores into. And if you take, there's 64 slots here, this is an 8x8 grid, so this is 16 moons. This is how all the ores will be distributed, or at least it is believed to be. CCP is notoriously vague on these things. So you have your R64s, I'll explain what that means later. Essentially take up 1 out of those 64, and all of the others are accordingly R4 will take up a quarter of those 64, etc. And the rest will either be empty or there will be plus 15% variance, right? Plus 15% variance of normal asteroid belt ores, so the sort of thing you might get in an anom, or the sort of thing you might get in an asteroid belt somewhere. So this is just the basic rarity. As you can see, some are very rare, some are not very rare at all, but it gets more complicated than this, so follow on. So these are all the moon ores, right? And they're in classes, and these classes are important. They don't just affect the rarity, they affect quite a few other things. So CCP also has pet names for them, which are not the same. CCP will call R64s exceptional, rare, uncommon, common, ubiquitous, down, going on. Each class has 4 ores in it. So these, for instance, they're important. So if you want to reprocess moon ore, you won't train up like xenotime reprocessing or something, because that doesn't exist. You'll train exceptional moon ore reprocessing. So as you can see here, ubiquitous moon, uncommon moon, rare moon, etc. So on and so on. Common moon. Exactly. So then we have the moon materials, and there are also categories of these, R64 to R4, and there are also 4 in each category, but they don't exactly map. It's not that simple. So essentially an R64 ore, or an ore with R anything, means that the highest grade of these materials is that grade. So an R16 ore will contain an R16 material and no higher, and so on for all the others. That doesn't, however, it doesn't mean that's all they contain. So if we go on to the next slide, you will see that R64, R8, R64s contain R4 materials, R8 materials, R16 materials, R64 materials, so on and so forth, as well as all these listed minerals as well. It gets quite complicated for R8 because there's loads of variants, but otherwise there you go. You can also see as the ores get more common, you get less material, you get less range of material, and you get more common minerals, although it's worth noting that the R16 that comes out of an R64 ore is obviously not as much as comes out of an R16 ore. So you can't out-mine R16 by mining a rarer ore. You still always preferential to mine the ore of the same grade. It's just that R64 will include a little bit of this just because. So to demonstrate that, if you look at xenotime, it will contain dysprosium, the main rare one, then vanadium, cobalt, R16, R8, and R4. And then if you look into vanadinite or something like that, let's go base, you get a lot more vanadium, you get 40 compared to, I think, 10 of the previous ones. So it's not quite so simple as to which ones tend to be more profitable. It's not uncommon for rarities to be usurped in terms of profitability. So if you were to look at Celestas, you would see that the R64s are all on top, yes, but once you get further down it gets a bit icky. You get some R16s are more valuable than some R32s, you get some R8s are more valuable than some R16s, you even get some R4s are more valuable than two R8s, so yeah, it's all around the place. The minerals can make up quite a bit of the value as well, so that's not to be underestimated. Certainly any that contain Mexilon, because Mexilon is rare. Well, it's, overvalued compared to others, let's say. So that's sort of the basics of moon mining. You have these ores, they have various rarities, and they themselves contain materials with various rarities and various distributions. The rare ones obviously contain rare materials, they will also contain fragments of others, they'll also contain bits of minerals. This one will also contain extra minerals. So what else to mention about moon mining? I get asked like a bit what sort of skills you want for moon mining, so it's the same. There's no real difference. The only exception is if you're using modulated strip miners, you should know you need a crystal appropriate to crystal. But again, there are no xenotime crystals. You'd want an exceptional moon or crystal. Which incidentally, which again requires exceptional moon or processing, just like all the other crystals, although perhaps it is worth noticing that these tend to have very high requirements of the base skills, so reprocessing efficiency 5, for example, just to train exceptional moon or processing at all. So they can be long trains, and fairly hard to get, but otherwise, yes. Also, moon ore is incompressible, so those of you with rock walls, you will find that you may need to empty your ore hold a little bit more often than not, because you won't be able to compress it on the fly. Otherwise, a moon belt is basically just a belt. It will spawn rats, just like other belts, with no particular difference or preference. So that's always worth looking out for, and that's really the moon mining section of it. Questions? Have I explained something very badly? I'm a fast talker and I'm not a very good teacher.
How do I know that which moon is containing which ores? So, like, there is a site at the Brave Collective where I can see when the moons are exploding. How do I know that which ores they are containing?
Well, the in-game... Okay, well, Brave... I don't know why Brave doesn't tell you. The in-game method for showing is something called the Survey Probe Scanner. So, one sec. So, probes like these, there's various different probe types. They just affect speed. And if I put one of these on my ship... Oh, wait, these are blueprints, but you get the point. If I put one of these on my ship, and then I load it with these, and I align towards the moon when I think like 100 kilometers off from it, and I launch this probe, it will actually give me back a survey result for what's inside the moon. So I can also show this on the wiki page, for example. If it loads. Either way, on the wiki page there is a screenshot of what this looks like, basically. Yeah. Why is it so slow? I think it's because it's streaming my... Yeah, so it looks like this. You can see projected output. Oh no, sorry, no, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. My bad. That's what it looks like when you put up a pool, so a specific hour length of time for bringing minerals up. It will estimate how much comes out. There's, I think, slight variance. This is what the result looks like. So you have this moon probe window, and it will give you the ores they have and the quantity, so the percentage that will come up. So yeah, this is another good thing to point out actually. People often call moons R64 moons, as in it contains an R64, and R32 as if it contains R32 and nothing higher. But like you can have these numbers can get pretty low. I've seen sort of 4%. So if you have sort of 4% R64, it's not that valuable after all, is it? Because it's just not that much of it, even if R64 is incredibly valuable. Although on the flip side, you could say, well, yeah, but you could just mine that and go away, and your ISK per hour is still high. You just don't mine for that much. So, okay, any further questions?
So again, I'm
Channel,
not going to go to every single moon and
YankamaSB00B.
scan them.
You can
So
see
if
all
I'm
brave
just
moons
sitting
and
in
their
my
your link to
core mining barrel,
moons.bravecollective.com.
I don't know how to pronounce it, sorry. The, I see that the moon exploded, so the only way for me to see what ores are there by just going there and check it myself.
Well, in-game, yes. Sort of in the sort of metagame of Brave existing as an alliance, there are sites, as have been linked in channel, that will tell you these things, right? But yes, in the sort of in the actual game, you can warp there. The asteroids will be named, just like the asteroid in the normal belts, called sort of the Veldspar asteroid, yeah? And you can see what's there, yeah.
Okay, thank you.